E allora si è voltato improvvisamente alla gente che era lì e ha detto: la gente che cosa dice che io sia? Chi dice che io sia? E voi chi dite che io sia?
Vi imploro, con umiltà e con fiducia, permettete a Cristo di parlare all'uomo.
Don Gius aveva capito il problema che avevo. Se la tua vocazione è vero, il tuo lavoro verrà fuori anche dai sassi.
Di comunicare la fede agli altri, ma veramente insieme a loro riscoprire che cos'è la fede, che cos'è la fede per me. Portare Cristo agli altri, comunicarlo agli altri è l'unico modo che abbiamo per conoscerlo veramente.
L'iter communionis aiuta a comunicare all'esterno la ricchezza di vita, di giudizi, di tentativi, di opere che nascono dalle persone e dalle comunità. L'iter communionis è proprio la vita del movimento. Scrivete all'iter communionis le vostre esperienze, ci fate bene. Si è voltato improvvisamente alla gente che era lì e ha detto: la gente che cosa dice che io sia? Chi dice che io sia? E voi chi dite che io sia?
Vi imploro, con umiltà e con fiducia, permettete a Cristo di parlare all'uomo.
Don Gius aveva capito il problema che avevo. Se la tua vocazione è vero, il tuo lavoro verrà fuori anche dai sassi.
Di comunicare la fede agli altri, ma veramente insieme a loro riscoprire che cos'è la fede, che cos'è la fede per me. Portare Cristo agli altri, comunicarlo agli altri è l'unico modo che abbiamo per conoscerlo veramente.
L'iter communionis aiuta a comunicare all'esterno la ricchezza di vita, di giudizi, di tentativi, di opere che nascono dalle persone e dalle comunità. L'iter communionis è proprio la vita del movimento. Scrivete all'iter communionis le vostre esperienze, ci fate bene.
Civiltà dell'amore, fratelli e sorelle, costruite senza stancarvi mai questa civiltà. Lavorate per questo, pregate per questo, soffrite per questo.
Buonasera a tutti.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'd like to greet and I thank our guests. Thank you for accepting to take part in this evening's meeting titled Family, a Place of Peace and Hope. Mariolina, Ceriotti, Migliarese, child neuropsychiatrist and psychotherapist. Vincenzo, Bassi, president of the Federation of Catholic Family Associations. Matteo, Fadda, president of Pope John XXIII Community Association. And Fabiola, Bianchi, family of Pope John XXIII Association. And Jean-Luc Moens from the Emmanuel community. Welcome. God has entrusted the family with the project of making the world domestic so that all may come to feel every human being as a brother. With these words, Pope Francis describes the task entrusted to the family. A close look to the daily lives of men and women today. The document continues, immediately shows the need there is everywhere for a robust injection of family spirit. Not only is the organization of communal life becoming more and more entangled in a bureaucracy that is totally alien to fundamental human values, but social and political life often shows signs of degradation. So the recent context, the historical situation we're experiencing are making it increasingly uncertain to look to the future. And Christian families paint the gray of public space by filling it with the colors of fraternity, social sensitivity, the defense of fragile people with luminous faith, active hope. The family, but must not think of itself as an enclosure called upon to protect itself from the society. The family does not remain waiting, but goes out there, For example, the experience that dozens of Italian families have been going through in the recent weeks. They are involved in a project led by CEI and the Italian and International Caritas in hosting Ukrainian children from Kharkiv to spend their summer holidays with them. The initiative came about at the request of the Deputy Minister of Zelensky's government during a meeting with Cardinal Zuppi last year. Cardinal Zuppi was sent by the Holy Father on a peace mission last year. On that occasion, the Deputy Minister said that he had been himself a child of Chernobyl, taken in by an Italian family during the summer holidays after the accident we all know about. So, remembering the good he'd received, he asked to have a similar experience again for the children of his people. So in this way, a process was set in motion. We hope, well, actually we're certain, that it will contribute to building a culture of peace and generating hope for the Ukrainian people. Well, linking to the title of the meeting, this evening's meeting aims at deepening and bearing witness to the essential nature of what is experienced in families, in every family, and how this can give rise a new sociality. It can generate hope. It can be the place where we can live an experience of goodness that makes the future certain, contributing to building peace and having an impact on history. Each one living what life gives him or her to live. So this is what we would like to talk about with our guests this evening. Thank you again for your presence. And let's now start with Mariolina Ceriotti Migliarese, your child neuropsychiatrist and psychotherapist. In your long professional experience, you had the opportunity to meet with many families, and you yourself live in a deep and lively family context. You have studied and written a lot about the family, quoting from your publications, La coppia imperfetta, erotica e materna, Risposimi, Alfabeto degli affetti, padri e figli. So, starting from the title we've given to our meeting, why can we say that the family is the place of hope and also of peace? And how does this not remain an experience limited to the family circle and become a social experience? Good evening, everybody. I'm really sorry I can't see you. And for me, talking without being able to see you, well, this is very difficult to try just to imagine what you look like. So when I saw this title, and I thought about the many families that I meet in my profession, the question I asked myself was, but today, we, normal families or ordinary families with our difficulties, how can we give hope? How can we testify hope? Because very often we feel that there's a lack of trust also in our families. Christian families are created based on a very high-level project. The Christian couple has this idea of something beautiful that will last forever. We choose each other, we fall in love, we choose each other, we imagine beautiful things together, large family, a life of affection, love, and sharing. But actually, then, in reality, very often, reality is different and disappoints us. And we meet with everyday difficulties. Very often they are frustrating. The other person is not exactly like we imagined. And the children arrived too early. And they are creating difficulties, or they arrive too late, or they are not like what we imagined. So life is different from what we thought. And everyday difficulties give us problems. And then we ask ourselves questions. Is it true? Can we really live together forever? Not just bearing each other, standing each other, but is it possible to live a life based on our project with happiness, satisfaction? Many Christian couples ask me, God wanted me to be happy, but why do I find myself with this husband or wife? Maybe I made the wrong choice. So I think this is why people are asking for the annulment of their marriage, because people ask themselves, maybe I wasn't prepared enough to be married. I wasn't convinced. I wasn't mature enough. So we Christians, more than other people, well, we struggle. We struggle. There's a gap, a difference, a gap between our desire to do good things and then all the difficulties we have to meet every day. So the first question is, why is it so tiring to love each other for the entire life? And I think that the question, the answer, the first answer is it is tiring. It's tiring because the family is a place where we have to cope with differences, the many differences between human beings, between men and women, which is very deep. And then the difference between two different stories that met each other, coming from different backgrounds, different families, and then the age difference between parents and children. You know, differences are the reason for difficulties. But we are not used to seeing differences as an opportunity. Even when we talk about peace, I think we should remember that differences are potentially a chance. So instead, we see it as a frustration, as a source of frustration, and we just want to adjust to it, to adapt to it. Instead, we don't have to adjust each other to each other's differences, but instead we have to make differences flourish and generate a new life. So I think what we have to do now is we have to see obstacles not as something we have to adapt to, but rather they are a challenge that we have to face. Well, our life is based on accepting the reality we live in, that husband, that wife. Well, it is a chance for us to become better people, to better develop what we are. And human happiness is possible. It is possible if within ourselves we use and trigger our creativity. What is creativity? Creativity means taking the chance and grabbing what happens to us in order to convert them into an opportunity. So a difficult husband is an opportunity for our creativity in order to understand what we can do. So what can we do? Is there anything different we can do compared to our ideals, the ideas we had previously? So it is a challenge to our creativity. When we get married, we promise each other not to make each other's happy because we couldn't do it, not to feel the same feelings during the entire life, because, you know, feelings change. Sometimes they improve, sometimes they get worse. For sure, they change all the time. They renew themselves with ups and downs. But what we promise to each other when we get married is that we will never abandon the other person's hand for all our life, that we will keep the hand tight during the entire life, facing the challenges of life. So yes, we can witness and testify hope, we as Christians. We can do it if we show that this is possible. It is possible. it is possible to love each other forever. It is possible not to abandon the boat when facing difficulties. It is possible to use our creativity in order to be happy deeply forever, despite everything, if we always use our creative skills. It is possible to love our children. Testifying hope means never giving up with our children. You know, this is a world that doesn't want to take the responsibility to educate children, and we don't want to give up. We will never give up. We'll always be aware that it is legitimate to educate. We have to transmit our passions to our children. But, of course, we have to be aware in a positive way, actively, by studying. We have to be aware of the beauty of our message, the beauty of the Christian anthropology that we have taken for granted, but it's not granted. The beauty of love forever, the beauty of educating, the beauty of trusting our children. So I think it is the right time for families. It is time for secular lay people to live their life, their profession, the fact of being husband and wife professionals, people using their skills in the world, in life, in creativity. Learning to live all the things that happen to us as a good chance, as a good challenge, and as a chance for us. I think that, what is negative within a family is not based on the difficulties. It's not due to the fact that sometimes we have different opinions after many years of being married, and we'll always have the same difficulties repeated over and over. What really hurts relationships is that people sometimes give up the challenge. They have this attitude for which they just bear. They just stand each other with patience. But this is not a positive, a good image of family relationships. What I'm telling you now is based on my experience with the families I worked with, but above all, this is due to my very long family experience, family with children, grandchildren now, and of course my family was not the ideal family, or, well, the ideal relationship. All the things I wrote in my books, I talk about the difficulties between couples, and I was able to write about it because I experienced it. I know how tiring it is, how difficult it can be, but I've always understood how beautiful this challenge is, and it can really last forever. Thank you.
Grazie. È il tempo.
Thank you. So it is time for families. Vincenzo Bassi, he is the president of Catholic Associations and of Federation of Catholic Family Associations. Your federation was born in order to represent the voice of families and also encouraging the work of associations. You join 33 associations from more than 20 countries. So it is the time for families. From your point of view, how can families generate hope and peace?
Family is a private experience of general interest. I don't want to be academic here, but this is true. I mean, talking about family, it is something real. It is a solidarity experience in the respect of each other's dignity. With no family, principles like equality, freedom, and solidarity cannot be understood. They remain abstract principles. And these principles cannot be explained in words, but they have to be experienced. And this is what our association does. It provides the example of families and puts it at the center of the political and social debate. I'm a lawyer, and the concept of the good family fathers is enshrined in the civil code. And this expression has not been changed. And this dates back to the Roman law. Only if you know and live the experience of the good family's father, you can understand what common sense is. In my own personal experience as president of this federation, I've seen many examples. The ecumenism of the family, for example. We travel and we meet people from different countries. I remember an experience in Romania. I was talking to a bishop, and he told me that ecumenism today is experienced in the family. Families are praying. Orthodox families and Catholic families are praying. If we talk about integration and migration, and if we look at the experience of our Italian families, Italian families were able to welcome other families, and this is how Italians were able to integrate in the countries where they migrated to. And this has also changed the political regimes. Let's not forget what happened in Poland with Solidarność. That was a civil protest made by people living in families. Without the unity of the family, it would have been impossible to do something that seemed to be impossible 20 years earlier. The family is the expression of unity, stands for unity, and stands for the ability to have a dialogue, and a specific dialogue methodology, which needs to be replicated. I haven't been able to understand the sentence when Mother Teresa of Calcutta used to say that the peace starts in the family, in day-to-day life. Now, this is something that I haven't understood in the current international background, but my day-to-day experience has opened up a new world for me. I'll give you an example. I was traveling by train. I was going to Milan. Next to me in the compartment, it was a family of older people talking in a local dialect. Probably they were from the south of Italy. And we stopped in Florence. A Muslim girl got on a train with a kid and a luggage. And in English, she was explaining to that couple that was speaking a local dialect from the south. And she said that she needed some help because she had to take some luggage. And she wanted to leave the kid for a while, for a few seconds. I tried to explain what the girl was explaining, and the Arab girl looked at the lady and gave her her child. Two totally different cultures, and they started to have a dialogue. Then the lady had this kid in her hands, and then when the girl came back, this Arab couple started to talk to a family from the south of Italy. They couldn't speak the same language, but I can assure you that they were speaking throughout the whole journey. Well, that means that actually it is possible to have a family diplomacy, as in mothers do not give birth to children to send them to war. This is our experience and what our experience is teaching us. So we have to understand that the two mothers at that time were much wiser and more practical than many politicians who do not use common sense and do not think about families when they make decisions. So there's a practical experience of day-to-day life, as Mariolina said before, have to lead to creativity, not only in the family, but also outside the family. We need to think and understand how the experience of communities having a dialogue can lead to a future with no war. And this is possible. There are associations that also attended the meeting in Rimini, like the Parents Circle, showing that different cultures can make peace. But we need to be more creative. Experts in international law know that in any peace treaty, there is always some part on reconciliation. They always focus on reconciliation, which is somewhat neglected because it is often managed by international organizations. Christians can add something to that. Beyond reconciliation, there is forgiveness. So, family networks, family associations, institutions where families play a central role, under difficult situations can play their own role. Clearly, they cannot decide about a ceasefire, but they can prevent wars and the repetition of wars. We know Bosnia, Kosovo, there is a hot situation in the Middle East and in the Balkans because no right attention has been put on peacekeeping processes. So it is up to us. You have seen it through the example of these two women who looked in each other's eyes and have gone beyond all biases. Just through gestures, just through motherhood, which is the same for all of us. And this is made in the respect of each other's dignity without relinquishing our own identities. We are aware that being together is a responsibility that we all bear in a joyful way because the family is a responsibility, is a joyful responsibility. I am convinced that since loneliness is the major disease, is the great disease, the big disease of modern times, it's just a network of families that can defeat this disease. The same applies in war situations. I was working in refugee camps, and all the people that you meet there know very well that peaceful coexistence is loved by anyone, and that hatred is always induced by decision makers living outside communities. Our communities have to be made strong. This is not ideal. This is not something abstract. This is practical experience. This has happened in Europe thanks to the capability of people who have understood that in order to prevent war, families and communities have to make peace, and peace has not to be made by treaties and international organizations. Thank you, Vincenzo. A joyful responsibility, meeting the other in its fragility. Everywhere. Matteo Fadda is the president of the Association Comunità Papa Giovanni XXIII that was set up here in Rimini to fight against poverty according to Don Oreste Benzi's project, to be a family with those who don't have one. The community is now present worldwide. There are hundreds of entities such as family homes, kitchens, reception centers, therapeutic communities, and it operates through humanitarian emergency and development cooperation projects. Since 2006, it has been a member of the UN Economic and Social Council. So the question is, how does your community contribute to the construction of a new sociality? What is the origin and source of your action? Thank you, Luca. I'm going to read, not to be too long. Our experience starts from the knowledge that what our founder, Don Oreste Benzi, has witnessed through its examples, with its humanity and benevolence. That is, you can love people and you can be a family with everyone, even with those who don't have a family, with the poor, with the dispossessed. Our engagement is practical. Our families open the doors of their houses to share life with people, with the discarded. They choose to welcome people, to welcome others, by sharing life with life 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. And this has been done for 50 years now. Sharing under one's own roof, in one's own family, with people who most of the times are cast aside. And this has enabled us to become stronger through a prayer, to support each other in a fraternal communion, to seek sobriety by pooling everyone's resources so that there's enough for everyone to work together as one spiritual family and to actively collaborate with the other associations and movements working for the same purpose, working for the same employer, as I like saying. Let's always remember who is our employer and not the other employers that we have. In our experience, we have learned that opening up our family to those that don't have a family, as Luca said, means claiming that everyone has the right to have a family. And this is a message that does not need to be translated in different languages and cultures. It is immediately understandable, as Vincenzo said. This experience about the train was called the vital transplant by Don Oreste. Don Oreste taught us that we don't have to read other people with their constraints and with their condition of discomfort. The disabled, the prisoners, drug addicts, illegal migrants, and prostitutes. At the end of the 1990s, there was a harsh debate on that. We have to look at the person in their originality and potential. We are convinced that there is a design of salvation, and we all have to participate in that, and we're all responsible for that. Pope Francis would say, we are all brothers. Don Oreste's intuition led to a basic principle which does not concern our association, but the society as a whole. A new society A new society is possible. A society that puts the person back at the center, that moves forward following in the footsteps of the least. An inclusive society respecting diversity, that makes diversity a strong point. Donoresse called it the society of the free. The free is what enables us to understand that the profits are not the most important thing. At the center, there's a person with their own needs and duties. The extended family of our community consists of not just communities, but also international projects, our presence in places of war. Well, we have heard that all of that is possible. And we try to do it with our constraints. So family homes become real families, but also a good alternative to the institutes receiving fragile people and the disabled. Social cooperatives provide an opportunity, a labor opportunity for those who cannot have a job. Therapeutical communities are there to help the people and the youth who want to find a meaning, and society can start from the bottom. Donoresse said that in the family that welcomes, one is safe together. Co-responsibility is built on two dimensions: the removal of the causes generating injustice. So we need to feel responsible, and feeling part and parcel of a missionary project. So we have to bear our own testimony, to give our own testimony. There is also something else which is part of our own Christian DNA. Our way of fighting is based on non-violence. We want to remove the causes of the injustice of this sick society, not in a violent way, not by isolating and marginalizing people. Experiencing a family and being one single family increases the desire of giving a family to each one of us. In our own country, in Europe, and in faraway countries, where relations are characterized by consumerism, which has consumed everything, even conscience. And we have to share this experience with everyone, and that contributes to develop a sense of belonging, a mutual sense of belonging. To conclude, let me quote Pope Francis, which urges us to enhance this characteristic of our families. A few months ago, to the heads of the Notre Dame movement, the Pope entrusted a very important mission to accompany young spouses, because this is the only way to take care of the family. The next month, he was in a garden in Rome, and he told the families of the condo, defending the family means ensuring our future, because the family is oxygen to grow our children. We have to take on this duty, which has always been recalled by all popes. It is now high time for our families to look up and to see the hope, as Pope Francis said in Verona. So all of us Christians, and especially spouses and parents, have to announce this news on the family. This is the beauty of wedlock. It is gratifying. Certainly there is hardness, there are problems and difficulties, and we know that. So let me welcome the urge made by the Pope. We have to open up the doors of the fence so that people can come in, can go out, and can meet. We have to bet on the family, and this is the only way where we will win. Thank you. Thank you, Matteo. So this is possible, as you said. This creativity that we mentioned is indeed possible. And this is expressed in the way that you are proposing. Fabiola Bianchi, with her husband Filippo and her family, they share the experience of the Pope John XXIII community. And for 10 years, they have been living in Athens, where they have a family home.
Yes, exactly. We started our mission without choosing for how long or the place where we would live. We just relied on God and let Him take us through our community and His voice. It is the Lord who chooses us, and we know that wherever He calls us, there is our fullness. So the choice to rely on God has given us peace, even in difficult moments. In Greece, we are foreigners ourselves. So we ourselves experience the fact of being welcomed, and in turn, we welcome people coming from faraway countries with different languages, religions, but above all, histories and traumas that intertwine. And starting from everyday life, they shape our way of being a family. We try to find a balance within this microcosm of our family, and then we relate it to the outside world through school, health, documents, the search for work that is not so easy in Greece. So we are mediators with the people, and we try to be incarnated with the people. So we welcome people directly from refugee camps, from the street. There are no filters, no social services, no fees, nothing, nothing. It's just us, the poor, who knocks on our door, and God in the middle. Most of the time, we appreciate diversity. I must say that our children are better than us. They are freer than us. What happens with this direct sharing? Well, our own limits come into contact and merge with the limits of others, and we learn that diversity of culture, of ideas can coexist. Of course, there are conflicts. In the beginning, it's difficult, especially for the people that we welcome. It's difficult for them to understand that we don't want to offer just a bed or a place to stay, but really we want them to become part of the family. But very often they don't trust us. They feel they need to test us. And some of them never had a family before. Or anyway, they have a different concept of family. They come from histories of abandonment, violence, victims of trafficking, exploitation. So obviously they don't trust anyone. And understanding why we welcome them, or simply why we ask them to share meals and free time, it takes them a long time, a long process. And they are surprised if we're worried when they're late, and we call them to find out where they are. But then once they start to trusting us, they lower their defenses and open up to us. It's a big gift to us. If I think in particular of the children who left alone from Afghanistan, from Africa, when they were 12 or 13 years old, they have to fight to survive. And we witness a small miracle when these small warriors become children again, and they bring out their desire to play. They bond with the young children of the house. They live the childhood that was stolen to them. For us, it is wonderful to be able to breathe in the small things of each day, that we all become someone when we are someone's, when we feel the sense of belonging. This is what makes us people. But to go back to the topic of conflict, I'd like to go back to the words of Pope Francis at the Arena of Peace last May, where he reminded us that conflict is physiological. Different positions do not represent a danger if we keep on searching for dialogue. He said, dialogue is the true richness of family and society. But so if I don't fear conflict, I'm inclined to seek dialogue in mutual forgiveness. The people we share life with show us the value of forgiveness. Forgiveness, by that we mean looking to the future, looking beyond. Even when faced with injustices and the difficulties they still have to face every day. Our reaction, in particular mine, because my husband is much calmer, but my reaction is always outrage and anger, while they teach us forgiveness, above all patience, sacrifice and hope. We learn a lot from them. They are broken people that try to make peace with their past. But the experience of pain, of deprivation, helps them to look at life, putting problems into perspective. What we try to do is we try to welcome their wounds too. We give them confidence and hope so that they can start dreaming a peaceful future where integration, real integration, is not just an empty word, but a way of life in a society that will see them increasingly mixed and integrated. He who rejects the poor rejects peace. Pope Francis told us during his last visit to the people in refugee camps in Greece. Our family was there. We listened to him while he was looking at the children in the face. He said, he or she who fears you has not looked at you in the eye. So I think that welcoming these people means welcoming their desire for peace. This is what they bring us as a gift. Welcoming that lonely boy, that pregnant woman fleeing a war, that lost everyone along the way, means welcoming their extreme need for peace. To experience non-violence, we learn from those who have experienced violence. We learn the value of things from those who do not have them and crave them. We learn the value of freedom from those who don't have it. We learn peace from those who don't have peace. An Afghan boy told me something disarming. Being good is not enough. You have to be happy. Okay, right. So he appreciated what I was doing for him, but he wanted me in joy. This is what he needs. And coming this from a boy who even tried to commit suicide at the age of 16 in a refugee camp in Greece, I think it has to be taken seriously. And he told me that when he was extremely sad, hearing me, listening to me speaking, gave him hope. So he's severely depressed, and from him I learned the value of joy. The migrant children live in our family together with our natural children. They share everything. We believe that also for our children this is a gift, realizing that people, no matter where they come from, will enrich us. The human heart can recognize what unites us. It can expand to make room for the others. Empathy helps us appreciate what we often take for granted, such as a document in our pocket, an ID in our pocket, or freedom of movement. We are still amazed by the resilience of so many people who live with us. They don't want to remain trapped in their past. and they want to take all the opportunities they have now. I'd like to tell you the story of a boy from Cameroon. When we met him, he was 15 years old, slept on a bench in Athens after spending 1 year in slavery in Turkey, and he had left with his twin sister and a friend. The sister was abducted, and the friend drowned, was killed. The mother had abandoned him when he was born. So he lived with us in the family home, and then he was relocated to France where his mother was, but then his mother abandoned him again. It was a big disappointment. For us, he's a son. He's a son to us. So it was painful to see all his hopes thrown away. He wanted to study, and he'd promised his father he would study before he died. So we talked about it with some friends from Communion and Liberation who took him to heart. And then a network of people was generated from different European countries. They are financing his studies. And he wants to study. He is studying aeronautical mechanics, and we have friends supporting him. This is beautiful. It's beautiful to tell you about this story. We think this is a sign, the sign that poor people unite us. Many of them opened up a path of unity for us. We collaborated with the community of Sant'Egidio. We managed to have many people sent from Greece to Italy, people that couldn't have a future in Greece. The first boy who left taught us that even pain can bear good results. He had a difficult situation in Greece, but then he made us open our eyes on the reality of refugee camps on the Greek islands. So then corridors were opened up, and there's a presence of volunteer groups in order to support migrants in Greece. So what I'd like to say is that we live with these people. We have direct sharing with the people that God made us meet. These people get into our heart, and together we rescue each other, we welcome each other, and we take on that situation that the other person is living. And as long as that situation of pain is there, of injustice continues, we are there with them. This is it. Thank you.
Fabiola, perché ci hai raccontato, ci hai testimoniato.
Thank you, Fabiola. Thank you for telling us what it means to look in the eyes of the people you meet and not being scared of them. Jean-Luc Moens, the Emmanuel community, was founded in the 70s in Paris, founded by Pierre Goursat. It started with a prayer group, and then quickly it grew, and it spread in France and the world. The community is now present in 60 countries. It has 12,000 members, among them hundreds of priests and men and women consecrated in celibacy. The community is also widely present in Rwanda, and this year we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the genocide that swept the country away between April and July 1994. The figures of Cyprian and Afros Rugamba, your personal friends, and the family for whom a beatification process is underway. So these people were very meaningful and generated fruits of peace and hope that still continue to this day. Can you tell us about them?
Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm going to speak more slowly than others, because actually I cannot speak just like you, because I can't really speak Italian. I'm a French speaker. So on the 7th of April 1994 in Kigali, the day after the death of President Habyarimana, the Presidential Guard arrived at Cyprian Rigamba's house. Before entering, the foreman shouted, "So, Cyprian, are you still a Christian?" "Yes," Cyprian replied with no hesitation. The soldiers entered and a few minutes later shot Cyprian, his wife Daphros, and 6 of their 10 children, those who were at home at that time. Today, a beatification process is underway for the whole family, who have an immense influence on peace and reconciliation in Rwanda through the Emmanuel community they founded in the country. Cyprian Rigamba was born around 1932 in the south of the country. He was an intelligent boy who did very well at school. He attended the minor seminary and then the major seminary. And there, unfortunately, he lost his faith, reading existentialist philosophers. At university, he studied history and met a girl with whom he fell madly in love, Xaverine. But Xaverine is killed during the ethnic riots of 1963. And Cyprian was desperate. Daphros Mukasanga was born in 1944 in the same region as Cyprian. She was a convinced Christian. She was related to Xaverine. Cyprian met her and fell in love with her. They married in 1965, but Cyprian remained attached to his first deceased fiancé. Following false accusations against Daphros, Cyprian repudiated her for 8 months. When he realized it was a sham, he welcomed Daphros back into the marital home. But a wound remained in the couple. Cyprian was a great intellectual. He was appointed director of the Rwanda's National Institute of Scientific Research. He became a great specialist of the country's language, called Kinyarwanda, and he became convinced that there were no Hutus or Tutsis, but only Rwandans who shared the same culture and language. He made poems and set them to music to spread his ideas. His songs were a huge success. He became famous throughout Rwanda, and Cyprian and Daphros had 10 children, but the couple was in trouble. Cyprian felt guilty, but could not ask Daphros for forgiveness. One day, he brought her a child he had with another woman, and Daphros welcomed her as a daughter. She prayed for her husband's conversion. Between 1980 and 1981, Cyprian became seriously ill. It was a mysterious illness, with violent headaches, tinnitus, disturbances of vision and balance. He lost his appetite. He even thought he was dying. Daphros gave him loving care, and Cyprian's heart began to open. The situation was so serious that Cyprian was sent to Europe for medical treatment. On the plane, a song rose in him. This white sky, white as snow, where the king awaits me. If ever I am called, please do not distress. I will answer the call with joy and enter the sky dancing. It was the first time a song about heaven arose in his heart. It was an instant healing and conversion. Cyprian was no longer the same. He was a Christian again. he asked Dafros to forgive him for all the suffering he had caused her. Dafros forgave him, and the couple was resurrected. From then on, nothing would separate them, and their love as a couple would shine. In 1990, Cyprian and Dafros set up the Emmanuel community in Rwanda. Cyprian became more than ever a prophet of peace and reconciliation. And then he said, there are no Hutus or Tutsis, there are only children of God. With Dafros, he forgave the murderers of their family during the events of the 1960s. In 1993, the Archbishop of Kigali granted the Rugamba family permission to have the Blessed Sacrament in their home. The home chapel became the center of family life, and it was also the place where numerous visitors were welcomed. With the young Emmanuel community, they evangelized everywhere, parishes, streets. Cyprian and Dafros testified to forgiveness as a couple. Listening to them, many couples were reconciled. It is clear that Cyprian Rugamba's message of peace and reconciliation did not please the government at the time. His name was probably on a list of people to be eliminated. So, on the 7th of April, soldiers arrived at the family home. They disappeared into the tabernacle, scattering the consecrated hosts on the floor, and they killed the Cyprian, Dafros, and their children. But the message of peace and reconciliation they brought did not end with their death. The impact of the Rugamba family's testimony was immense in Rwanda. Their work was carried on by the Emmanuel community, which is now doing great work for peace in a country that has not forgotten the horrors of genocide. There are countless testimonies of forgiveness and reconciliation linked to their apostolate. Here is just one example. Eugenie, and this is not her real name, is Tutsi. And she hates the Hutus. One day, she had the possibility of making a false witness against the Hutu, Deu, and she sent him to prison. After she converted, and she joined the Emmanuel community. One day, before the Blessed Sacrament, she made a prayer, and she told God, she said to God, God, you know that I want to confess all my sins to you. So if there is any that I have not confessed, please tell me. And immediately, she heard a voice saying, Dio. Eugene then remembered about him, and she went to the prison where Deo was, but he had been released, and she said to all the prisoners, I made a false accusation, and I come to ask for forgiveness in the name of all Tutsis that did the same. And the prisoners cried. But then she had to go to Deo's family, and so she did. And when she explained the story, Deo started to speak and said, when I was in prison, I prayed before the Blessed Sacrament, and I asked that one person that made a witness against me would come. Would come to ask for forgiveness. And you came, and you did it. And you did it before the Blessed Sacrament. come and kiss me. So there are many other examples. And the Rugamba canonization process opened in September 2015 and ended in September 2021. The testimony of this family continues to inspire many people, especially in Rwanda, in their commitment to peace and reconciliation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jean-Luc, for the extraordinary story you told us about these great friends of yours. And the words by other speakers have also been extraordinary. So I want to ask Mariolina and Vincenzo, what is a way forward as suggested by what you said in your testimonies? While I was listening, I thought that each one of us has its own call. This is called vocation, a call to life for something. This is the call for holiness for each one of us. So this call is different for each one of us. And there are different ways to be called. For someone, it is a call like you told, or that very special call up to the martyr, like that family that we've heard about. Some other time, the call is a call to live in a day-to-day life with battles, the battles of faithfulness, of children education, which maybe does not seem too heroic, but it is our own personal call. It is important to see the footprints of our journey. A vocation is no better than other. I thought about the vocation of families who every day try to strive, try to forgive, try to start back again, and try to find the creativity in their heart to make a life worth living. So I thought about the beauty and the variety of vocations in life for families, and that it is very important to share them so that our stories cannot be more or less important, but they are all vocations to holiness in the life of each one of us, in our own daily life. This is what I thought. Vincenzo, the floor is yours. As we said, a family is a private experience of common interest. This is something important because oftentimes we believe that the family is only the place of the beloved, but it is much more than that. And therefore, we have to share this experience. So what is the disease of our age? Loneliness. Loneliness also stems from believing that we are self-sufficient, stems from consumerism. In order to communicate with others our experiences, we have to live in a network and to communicate with a network, because only by doing that can we share not just problems, but we can also be attractive in our own beauty. The beauty of the family can be understood only in practice. I was talking about local dialect before. In my own local dialect, the word beauty does not exist, just the word beautiful, because it is practical experience. And this beauty must be lived together, must be shared. I believe that the forgiveness and the reconciliation, just like in our families, must be explained outside our families. And in places of war, it can become a tool to keep peace. And Europe is an example for that. We have all watched the Gasperi's exhibition. If you haven't, please go and visit it. The Gasperi focused a lot on the experience of communities living together for a common goal. The Gasperi's ideas was civitas, and not the polis founded on genos, but civitas meant as a common goal. This is possible only if we are brave enough to live in a network, to fight against loneliness and to contaminate others. This is the way we can make conversion. We have examples in many countries where we convert people of different religions who are attracted by an experience of a joyful responsibility. Thank you, Vincenzo. I will now ask Matteo, Fabiola, and Jean-Luc, what is the takeaway message that you want to give us to our audience?
Stavo pensando.
Well, actually, I was thinking about Greece and Rwanda and how much these families change society. Our families change society, so let's be hopeful and let's remember that families conceived by God are the safe foundations for our society. Our psychologists talk about the construction of society, so let's be witnesses of this safe foundations. Let's talk about our experiences and share them. I totally agree. Without, thinking about winning competitions for being the best of families, we just have to be and to feel the people of God. Well, knowing that we have to witness and to testify God. Well, with my husband, very often we say that it's much easier to welcome poor people rather than the poor that is inside ourselves, the fact of being scared, of not being able to do something. So sometimes it's much easier to welcome people from the outside rather than accepting ourselves. So this is my comment. There's a sentence by Don Giussani, and thanks to the friends of CL in Greece, we thought about this sentence that says you don't have to cultivate projects of perfection, but rather you have to look at Christ in the face. And this is a sentence that has really helped us. And there's actually a sentence we have in the chapel, at the entrance of the chapel of our family home. It says, freedom means holding hands with God. So simplicity in our daily life. Thank you. Jean-Luc? Just a couple of things. First thing is family is a school for forgiveness. There's no peace without forgiveness. We have all learned how to forgive within our family, with our brothers and sisters, also with our parents, because parents are not perfect. So this is the first thing. And this is how families build peace. Second is that families are a holy school. And if we were all saints, the world would be different. We have to think and to believe that the sacrament of marriage is a sacrament to make the spouses holy, a sacrament for holiness, and also to make the children holy. This is a sacrament for the sanctity or the holiness of everybody, of the entire family. So I told you about the story that I've just told you, but you know, the sacrament of marriage, thanks to Dafros, won. And this was a real holy family. I hope that the church will finally recognize it. This is great. This is exceptional. This is our vocation. We are all called to holiness. Thank you.
Io ringrazio di cuore.
Thank you so much to the speakers. Thank you for helping us understand even more what are the challenges of families today. What kind of hope can we have and bring to the world, considering the circumstances where we all live. Thanks to your words, thanks to your stories, we could listen to you. We heard about what you're living, what you're going through, and now we can have this look to the future. We have more hope, and as Pope Francis reminded us before the next Jubilee, everybody hopes. In the heart of every person, there's hope as a desire and waiting for good. So this is a promise indicating a very fascinating path, and we want to walk along that path with friends like you. Thank you. I'm going to read just a few minutes more, please. Each one of us can contribute to the meeting. We can actively participate in this great human adventure, looking for the essential. So here at the fair, at the meeting, you can donate at the desks where you find the red heart, where the volunteers wear the T-shirt saying donate now, dona ora. Right now, where in history we have, in this historical moment where we have so many pending questions, what Cardinal Pisaballa told us during his speech at the opening meeting, well, we felt very touched, and this is why the meeting will donate a part of the donations collected this week to the emergency in the Holy Land. Thank you. Be generous. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
la civiltà dell'amore. Fratelli e sorelle, costruite senza stancarvi mai questa civiltà. Lavorate per questo, pregate per questo, soffrite per questo.
Si è voltato improvvisamente alla gente che era lì e ha detto: la gente che cosa dice che io sia? Chi dice che io sia? E voi chi dite che io sia?
Vi prego, vi imploro, con umiltà e con fiducia, permettete a Cristo di parlare all'uomo.
Don Gius aveva capito il problema che avevo. Se la tua vocazione è vero, il tuo lavoro verrà fuori.
Vita del movimento. Scrivete all'Iter Comunionis le vostre esperienze, ci fate bene,